Good night. We are on the 8th of June 2024 and the time is 29 minutes past 8 p.m. I've had a break since recording Saturday's Immaculate Heart of Mary, and now I'm going to share with you from chapter 8. I've already recorded up until the end of chapter 7, and those of you who are familiar with it, you know what it's about. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get on with chapter 8. I only typed up, I believe, approximately 10 chapters maybe, and then Maranatha kindly sent me a full-scale large font document which was presented to Parliament in 2012. Finally, whatever is true, whatever is honourable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Philippians 4, verse 8. So this is, what on earth are we doing to our children? The big question. This is the year where we go to election soon. I want to finish this so that you can think about who you're going to vote for and what regard do they have for the children of our nation. How will they deal with the existing laws, which they need investigating, looking at. They need to know what they're doing. The statistics are in this document. I'm going to read it from to where I finished typing, because I know that I won't have any problems with it, and then I'll use theirs. So, chapter 8. The document is, what on earth are we doing to our children? Chapter 8, Poisoned Minds by What They Read. 40% of girls had been on strict diets. When asked why, 75% said that their strict dieting was to be attractive to others, with 66% claiming it was because of the media portrayal of women. Girls' Attitude Survey, Girl Guiding UK 2010. We are now note in 2024. 55% of parents think childhood is over by the time children start secondary school at 11. Random House Children's Books 2008. A 14-year-old Salford boy pleaded guilty to raping 4 primary school girls in a park. The court was told how he was inspired to carry out the attacks by the violent sexual images he had seen. The Times, 24th of March 2006. There has been an explosion in the teen and children's fiction market, with more authors targeting the youth pound, P-O-U-N-D, pound note. Sadly, this has not raised standards. Doing it, do you remember your first time? Is a book written by Melvin Burgess aimed at young people. Dino really fancies fit, sexy Jackie, but she just won't give him what he wants. Jonathan likes Deborah, but she is a bit fat. What will his mates say? Ben has been secretly shagging his teacher for ages. But what if he wants to stop? The front cover is of a female pair of legs with knickers pulled down. Doing it, ISBN 978001410180034, published 20th September 2004 by Penguin UK. I can assure you I am not going to type up that ISBN number, even though it's in the document. I'm not promoting anything like that. Melvin Burgess helps to promote another book called Sugar Rush by Julie Burchell. He says about the book, a fabulous story of sexual fascination, guilt-free, intoxicating and delicious. Sugar herself is a marvelous creation, promiscuous, immoral, manipulative, terrifying, and oddly likable. The only wish I had known her when I was her age and had the chance to be tossed aside like a used condom. But who am I kidding? She would have scared me half to death. The book explores the world of teenage drugs and lesbians and has now been made into a Channel 4 series for children. Sugar Rush, and the ISBN numbers here, I don't think I want to share them. Published 6th of May 2005. Second edition by Young Picador. Yeah, I feel loath to put them. It's just encouraging sick heads. A study by the Sunday Telegraph of several magazines aimed at teenage girls found that they contained sexually explicit material which could infringe the magazine industry's editorial code. For example, Bliss magazine readers are on average aged 15 years, featured on one front cover the following stories: The Sex Factor, Your Questions answered, and Gang Raped for a Mobile Phone. Sugar magazine readers aged 14 years on average had a spread entitled, Is it a crush or are you gay? Top of the Pops magazine, with readers aged 11 to 15 years, once promoted the magazine with a set of Kiss Me stickers. If you notice, 11 to 15 is underage. It also featured photos of topless male celebrities and a picture of an underwear model who appears to be naked except for a modesty panel blanking out his genitals. Bliss website has previously suggested girls send in photographs of themselves to be graded on looks and pullability in a contest coarsely named How Sexy Am I? The Daily Telegraph, 14th of March 2009. We're talking about children here. This is already bringing tears to my eyes. They're not allowed to be children anymore. There is also a growing industry of lads' mags. Though written for an adult audience, these are read by young boys. Publications such as Nuts, FHM Loaded, and Zoo magazines have feature titles such as Win a Boob Job for Your Girlfriend and offer 2 Rude for TV DVDs featuring sex scenes that could not be shown on TV. Zoo in the past has promised girl-on-girl action and joked about women enjoying being urinated on and having sex with animals. Some encourage readers' girlfriends to send in explicit photos and seem to revel in the crude. The Daily Sport newspaper has regular pornographic images and stories available for just as a few pence. No wonder people stay at home with their families and don't mix. For these publications are being sold by news agents and supermarkets the length and breadth of our country, within easy reach of children's comics. Many make significant amounts of money from advertisements for sex chat lines, sex shops, and other adult services. The fear is that children as young as 8 are gaining access to these magazines. On average, lads' mags have 70 topless photos per issue. BBC News, 27th of June 2006. Can you imagine what it's like now in 2024? Premature sexualization and pressure to grow up too quickly affects young girls' emotional well-being and mental health. Boys making sexual advances, pressure to wear provocative clothes, and magazines that directly target young girls to lose weight or consider plastic surgery are taking their toll. Looking at pictures of models, pop stars and actors and actresses made a fifth of girls interviewed feel sad. 2/5 feel bad about themselves, and over 1/10 feel angry by what they see. A Generation Under Stress, Girl Guiding UK, 2008. A class of 10-year-olds at a Church of England primary school were asked by a teacher to write down the rudest words they could think of. Parents found a list of offensive and insulting words in their children's school books. Words ranged from variations on the F word, crude slang for sex acts, female and male genitals, and racist derogatory name-calling. The primary school children were encouraged to come up with a list of hurtful words that victims of bullying might be subjected to. A parent complained, "Some of the words used were so bad, I had never heard them before, and the whole episode beggars belief. The Daily Telegraph, 18th of February 2009. That's the year I came back from Jamaica. Shocking times had happened since I left then in 1999. It was never as bad as what I'm reading here. We've gone to the dogs, worse than that. The General Teaching Council, November 2008, expressed their support for the No Outsiders project based in primary schools and funded by the Economic and Social Research Council. Teachers developed strategies and resources to address lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender equality in their own primary education settings. The material includes puppets, plays, and fairy tales aimed at teaching children as young as 4 about same-sex relationships. It is well established by psychologists that children between the ages of 6 and 12 years are in a latency period, and that premature introduction of sexual material during this period can disrupt natural sexual development. Children young as that do not need what they're saying here. Popular comedian David Walliams was shortlisted for a prestigious literary prize after writing a book on a cross-dressing schoolboy. Walliams says of his book, "In a small way, it is about sexual awakening. The book is aimed at 7-year-old children." Daily Telegraph, 8th of September 2009. Most parents are oblivious to the content of the magazines, books, and internet sites that their children are reading. Sadly, most children no longer have innocent memories of childhood. Stories of adventure, intrigue, and moral guidance have now been shattered with horror, sex, and violence. I'm getting a pain in my chest reading this. I've got angina, and I'm finding it, although I've typed it up and read it, I find it's horrifying. Chapter 9. Poisoned minds by what they hear. 2/3 of all sexual references in music are degrading in nature. 45% of teenagers who listen to large amounts of sexually active, explicit songs are sexually active. Primark B.A. et al. American Journal of Preventative Medicine 2009, 364317-323. 39% of school teachers claim to have been abused with sexual swearing, and 75% of pupils are aiming sexually abusive swearing at each other. You do hear it in the streets. A serious business, NUT, National Union of Teachers, and University of Warwick Survey 2006. Record numbers of people are complaining about the use of foul language on TV and radio programs. Complaints have increased almost 40%, I'd like to tell you I was a football referee in men's football, and they got in serious trouble while I was refereeing, and others. I wasn't alone. We all booked when they deserved it. Really bad stuff. But for children, this has to be a no-no. We'll be bringing up morons, unintelligent, uneducated, harmed individuals. The Christian Institute, 5th of May 2010. Teenagers are greatly influenced by music. The music industry continues to use this to their advantage. Music often dictates language, lifestyle, behavior, and even morality. Jimi Hendrix, who died of a drug overdose, aged 27, said in Life magazine, "You can hypnotize with music," is true. And when you get people at the weakest point, you can preach into the subconscious what you want to say. 2nd of October, 1969. Teenagers who listen to music with sexual lyrics start having sex sooner than those who prefer other songs. Songs that portray men as sexually promiscuous, women as sex objects, and with explicit references to sex acts are more likely to prompt early sexual behavior than those where sexual references are more muted, where relationships appear more committed. Brown, J.D. et al., Pediatrics, Volume 117, Number 4, April 2006, 10:18 to 10:27. Teenagers who said they had listened to lots of music with degrading sexual messages were almost twice as likely to start having sex or experiment with other sexual activities within the following 2 years than teenagers who listened to little or no sexually degrading music. Martino, S.C. et al., Pediatrics, Volume 118, Number 2, August 2006, E430, E441. One 17-year-old girl spoke of listening to sexually explicit music, saying that she and other teens sometimes listen to sexually explicit songs because they like the beat. So it's not the words that attract them, it's the music. She went on to say, "I will not really realize that the person is talking about having sex or raping a girl, but she feels like the message is being beaten into the teens' heads. We do not even realize how much." MSNBC.com, 7th of August 2006. But of course, Lucifer, Satan, was the greatest musician in heaven. So this is the source. The music industry excuse me, has become so sexualized and morally corrupted that a review commissioned by the government has suggested that age rating should be considered. This is to ensure that inappropriate music is not sold to children, and that parents can make more informed choices about what they allow their children to buy. Bailey Review, June 2011. It becomes clear why the above recommendation was made on listening to some of the lyrics from mainstream songs. Popular songs played daily on our radios include lyrics such as, "Come here, here, rude boy. Boy, can you get it up? Come here, rude boy. Is you big enough? Take it, taking, baby, baby. Take it. Love me tonight. I'm gonna give it to ya harder." That's Rihanna. Rihanna, the singer that they all admire and ape and copy. Rude Boy, Def Jam. A different song called S&M by the same artists has the lyrics, "Feels so good at being bad. There is no way I'm turning back. Now the pain is my pleasure, 'cause nothing could measure the affliction of the feeling. Leaves me wanting more, 'cause I may be bad, but I'm perfectly good at it. Sex in the air, I don't care. I love the smell of it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but chains and whips excite me." Rihanna, S&M, Def Jam. It's just so horrible to have to read this. I feel ashamed already. I got a dirty mind, I got filthy ways, I be so far up, we don't give a F. You're hypnotizing, could you be the devil? Kiss me, kiss me. So that's turning them into devil worshippers as well. Infect me with your love and fill me with your poison. Take me, wanna be a victim. Tell me what's next. Alien sex? I'ma disrobe you, then it probe you. See, I abducted you, so I tell you what to do. Katy Perry and West E.T. Capital. These lyrics are just a small selection and are by no means unique. They're totally disgusting and depraved and for children. This is not an adult thing. We're talking about children, children's minds. I begin to feel sick that these children are subjected to this and they're unaware. They're not being taught anything. They're just being led to hell. They're lost. They're lost. These children are lost to God. They are lost to God. This is awful. Heavy metal music often glorifies drug use. Drugs are always involved. It's destroying and killing our nation. That's why they're killing each other. Murder, suicide, and Satanism. That's what I just read. I didn't say it. I'm reading it. It debases human relations, degrades sex, and is fundamentally aggressive. The literature associated with the music is littered with blasphemy and obscene language, and I hated reading every word of it. This typically graphic song by Possessed is an example of the lyrics fans of the genre listen to arise from the dead and attack from the grave. The killing will not stop until first light. We will bring you to hell. What I just said, because this is what I'm reading. Because we want to enslave, lay down the laws from our satanic scripts. Lucifer laughs. His needs are fulfilled. Bodies are burning. The people are killed. Torture the reason we fought. Blood's what we want, and we will not settle until we drive you insane. Attacking the young and killing the old, bleeding with every heartbeat. Know that your life is at its end, rendered helpless, so scream out fright. Possessed, death, metal, relativity. That is sickening. Sickening. It's all sickening. It's totally sickening. I can't believe that children are accessing this. What is happening now? It's terrifying. It's worse than a nuclear bomb. On 23rd of September, if you kill the soul, they're lost for eternity. The body in a bomb, if you're pure and lovely, you will be restored to God and go to heaven. But when your soul is destroyed, That's it for eternity. On 23rd of September 2008, a school shooting took place in Finland. I've been there, it's a beautiful country. When a student in the local polytechnic entered his school and shot 10 people, and finally himself. The perpetrator, 18-year-old Matti Saari, had posted videos of himself on the internet, threatening to kill people. Ministry of Justice, Finland, 2010. Saari was a passionate follower of goth music that used the Holocaust, child murder, and the Nazis as inspiration. He listened to musicians whose song titles include Slave to Evil, Death Maker, and Line of Corpses. His main interests were horror films and guns. Saari had developed an unhealthy interest in other school shootings, downloading what he could on them from the internet. Daily Telegraph, 24th of September 2008. A subgenre of hip-hop music is gangster rap. It glorifies rape, urban crime, incites racial hatred and gang violence. Some young people with a high exposure to rap music were 3 times more likely to hit a teacher and more than 2.5 times more likely to have been arrested when compared with their peers who listened to less rap music. They will also twice as likely to have multiple sexual partners and have more than one and times as likely to get an STI, use drugs and use alcohol. It's the lyrics of this rap music is the problem. The lyrics and the intentions behind it. Wingwood GM et al., American Journal of Public Health, 2003, 93 437 439. Leading music stars are held up as the idols of the day. They are emulated, adored, and idolized, yet they are often not a benchmark that any parent would want to buy their children to use as a guide for life. They are often have extremely chaotic lives, broken relationships, a casual approach to commitment such as marriage, openly use drugs, and are relentless in their pursuit of fame and adoration. Often those who die young become cult-like figures to the young who want to imitate their idols. In a poll commissioned for BBC's Panorama, 55% of people questioned said swearing on TV is at an unacceptable level. 68% said that swearing on programs had increased in the last 5 years. 58% said that broadcasters do not take enough notice of audience views on the amount of swearing on TV and radio, and 41% said that they did not think the watershed was being effectively enforced. The poll was commissioned following a media scandal over offensive calls made by popular presenters Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand on Brand's BBC Radio 2 show. The pair left vulgar voicemail messages for 78-year-old Andrew Sash about his granddaughter. This pre-recorded programme was then aired, BBC Panorama, January 2009. This poisoning of the minds of children and young people has now become an established element of contemporary society. it needs to be recognized that the influences on children and young people have become more consistently negative and destructive than ever before. Chapter 10. Exploited by drug traffickers. 19.3% of 16 to 24-year-olds in the UK used illicit drugs in the last year. 37.7%, 2.5 million, have used illicit drugs during their lifetime. Home Office 2011-2012. 21,955 under-18s accessed specialist substance misuse services in the UK in 2010-2011. 128 were under the age of 12 years old, and 315 were aged 12 to 13 years. National Drug Treatment Monitoring System, 2012. There is a strong link between STIs, sexual behaviour and drug use. The links between substance use and risky sexual behaviour are considerable. Independent Advisory Group on Sexual Health and HIV, 2007, which will kill them. In 1 year in Scotland, a total of 254 children lost a parent or parental figure from a drug-related deaths. 59 children were living with a person who died from a drug-related death. The National Drug-Related Death Database Scotland 2009. Findings from an NHS survey indicate that in England, 2009, around 250,000 children had taken drugs, including glue, which is a killer. Like all of them is a killer, but that's even worse. A horrible death. Gas and other volatile substances in the previous month, and around 450,000 had taken drugs in the last year. 33% of children have been offered drugs at some point in their lives. The Information Centre for Health and Social Care, July 2010. 2.5% of the UK population are users of cocaine. This is one of the highest usage rates of the drug in Europe. The highest rate is in those aged 15 to 34, with up to 8% of this age group using cocaine. In terms of the health consequences of drug use, almost 18% of those who inject drugs are HIV positive. This means that the worldwide nearly 1 in 5 injecting drug users are living with HIV. United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and World Drug Report 2011. They're giving themselves a death sentence. Statistics on drugs use show that surprisingly almost a quarter of the UK's school-aged children 11 to 15 years have tried drugs. This figure is much higher than in Europe. 13% of UK's under 13s have tried cannabis. That can give them mental health issues, powerfully mental health issues, make them very, very ill and unstable and schizophrenic. And I'm not a doctor, but I've seen it in action. I've seen it in action in Jamaica, where they grow it and they can buy it for really cheap money in the countryside there. I've seen what happens. The European average is 4%. The trend for drugs use in school children remained stable across Europe between 1999 and 2005. In the UK, it doubled. BRAHA Drug Culture, June 2009. Source: Institute of Alcohol Studies, Alcohol Alert Number 1, 2009. Many are arguing for the legalizing of cannabis. No, 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 no. From my experience of what I saw in Jamaica and what I know from being there amongst it, seeing it, witnessing it, no, it should never, ever be legalized, never. Claiming that its use is no more dangerous than of cigarette smoking. A lie, a lie, a lie of the devil. Absolute lie of the devil. Yet the immediate effects of use include confusion, hallucinations, I've seen it, anxiety and paranoia. Cannabis use may also interfere with a person's ability to concentrate. Yes, 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 it does. Organize and use information, with this effect seeming to last several weeks and a lifetime after use. This makes work or study difficult, and cannabis use in adolescence is linked to the poor performance at school. A recently published study of cannabis users over a 25-year period has found that those who started using cannabis before the age of 18 years suffered a drop in IQ. The level of IQ and reduction was directly related to the amount of cannabis smoked. They also found that stopping or reducing cannabis use failed to fully restore the lost IQ. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, 2012. There is mounting evidence that people with serious mental illness, including depression and psychosis, are more likely to use cannabis or have used it for long periods of time previously. Regular users of the drug are 2 times more likely to have a psychotic episode or would develop schizophrenia. Research has suggested that there is a clear link between early cannabis use and later mental health problems. Children who use cannabis daily were 5 times more likely to develop depression and anxiety in later life. Starting to smoke cannabis before the age of 15 is associated with a 4-fold increase in the likelihood of developing a psychotic disorder by the age of 26 years. The Royal College of Psychiatrists, 16th of June 2011. Source: Fonts MA et al. British Journal of Psychiatry, 2011, 198, 442-447. Drug abuse is growing. There were 1,037 PNDs, penalty notice for disorder, issued for drug offences in 2008 to 2009, compared with 14,570 in 2010-2011 and 80,658 cannabis warnings were issued. Overall, there were 232,216 drug offences in the same period. Crimes detected in England and Wales Home Office, 2011. What concerns me is it's got a very, very distinct smell, cannabis has. How is it getting into the country? They must be growing it here, so they need to do a lot more searching into that. It could be grown here in tents or in warm conditions. It can flourish, so it can't have all been imported. It must be being grown here. as well as imported. I'm not saying it isn't. It will, but the smell is so strong. You can smell people in the street with it. They pass you by smoking. In Norfolk even. The immediate cost of crime committed by young people misusing drugs and alcohol is just under 100 million per year. 100 million per year at this time in 2011-2012. What about now in 24 when they're more relaxed than they were then? Department of Education, February 2011, that report. Yet the deeper cost is being felt as our children suffer the consequences of drug abuse, increased risk of HIV, mental health problems, increased sexual promiscuity, vulnerability to exploitation and abuse, and even death are the penalties they face. There were 250 ecstasy-related deaths reported between 1999 and 2004. The victims were mostly young. Office for National Statistics, Spring 2005. An 18-year-old boy was jailed for life after killing 2 other teenagers. The teenager, Thomas Palmer, claimed to be mentally ill at the time of the killings. An expert witness for the prosecution said that his psychotic symptoms were likely to have been caused by his heavy cannabis use. He had not been smoking skunk in the weeks before the killings and had become increasingly paranoid. Daily Telegraph, 27th of July, 2007. The illegal drugs trade in the UK generates about 8 billion annually. The Independent, 14th of July 2012. Of organised crime groups, 56% are involved in drug trafficking. Organised crime leads to misery for the numerous people affected by it. It involves human trafficking, prostitution and drugs. Its knock-on effects are burglary, car crime and muggings, which are often carried out to fund drug habits. BBC News Life of Crime, 16th of July 2011. It is estimated that more than 350,000 children live with a parent who has a drug problem. Addiction 2012. Addiction. Children are living with drug-addicted parents and with parents or family members who deal drugs. Children are literally caught up in the crossfire associated with drug culture. Joel Smith shot dead Tony Ann Byfield, 7 years old, in the back as she ran away from him. She had just witnessed the murder of her drug dealer father by Smith. The Times, 4th of August 2006. Children pay a high price in our society, which now accepts drug use as inevitable. Accidental poisonings are increasing, with children's lives being put at risk through the accidental ingestion of drugs kept in their homes. Children are being forced into working as drug mules. UNICEF, 16th of July 2011. A 12-year-old boy flew thousands of miles to the USA carrying heroin worth £700,000 in his stomach. He needed surgery to remove the drugs from his colon and save his life. Daily Mail, 15th of July, 2011. An 11-year-old Carl Benjamin lives on one of the most deprived estates in the UK and dreams of being a doctor when he is older. He is worried that all the trouble on his estate and in his school might stop him from achieving his dream. You get used to living with a lot of crime. I have to run away from drunkards and people high on drugs lots of times because they have been chasing me. We always have drug dealers hanging around in our back garden too. They are always messing up the garden and smashing our windows. Crime Stoppers UK, 16th of July 2011. Our society. This is like reading a horror story, a horror movie, horror book. The fact that it's facts is horrendous. Our society has accepted and promoted role models for our children who are unhelpful in the face of attempts to control drug abuse. Noel Gallagher, a member of the pop group Oasis, said in defense of a fellow pop star's use of drugs, "As soon as people realize that the majority of people in this country take drugs, then had the better off we will all be. It's not like a scandalous, sensational or anything like that. Drugs is like getting up and having a cup of tea in the morning." What a comment that is. He must be out of his mind on drugs. That's not normal. No. BBC Radio, January 1997. This man remains famous, influential, and in the public eye to this day, unless he's dead. I know nothing about him, but I heard of his name years ago, so he must be very old by now. Children are exposed to this kind of message every time they open a magazine, log on to the internet, or follow a tweet, or it's got another name now, X, is it? Chapter 11. Abused and corrupted. There were 50,552 children on child protection registers or the subject of child protection plans in the UK for by the end of March 2011. This has increased from 32,492 in 2006. NSPC Information 2012. In 2009 to 2010, this number of sexual crimes against children under 16 years recorded in England and Wales was 16,864. Home Office 2010. There were 2,500 subjects of a child protection plan during 2009-2010 due to sexual abuse in England alone. Department for Education 2010. Almost 20% of sexual abuse against children is carried out by a woman. Childline case notes on sexual abuse, November 2009. 1 in 3 female prison inmates claims to have been the victim of sexual abuse. Women in Prison, 21 July 2011. Of all sexual crimes recorded in England and Wales in 2009-2010, 31% were against children under 16 years of age. This totaled 16,864. More than 1/3 of all rapes recorded by police in this period were committed against children. Home Office crime in England and Wales, 2009-2010. Findings from the British Crime Survey and Police Recorded Crime Table, 2nd of May 2010. The impact and devastation that sexual abuse has on children is still not realised by the criminal justice system. Keith Fenn, 2007, was given only a 32-month sentence after twice raping a 10-year-old girl in a park. In 2011, another judge told a court that 2 12-year-olds wanted sex with 6, the young footballers, and so released the men after they had been found guilty of gang raping the girls. These derisory sentences are not only failing to protect our children, but also reflect the fact that sexual abuse is not being reviewed as seriously as it should be. Don't they realise that those girls, those young children, will be affected by that experience for the rest of their lives? They'll be totally destroyed by it. They'll never forget it or get over it. Children are crying out to be heard. Childline has taken literally thousands of calls from desperate children. The following are examples of recorded calls. Last night when it was in the toilet, I was in the toilet. My mum's boyfriend came in and sexually abused me. I don't want to tell mum because she won't believe me. Girl aged 8. My mum has a drinking problem. That when she drinks too much, she comes into my room, undresses me and makes me have sex with her. Boy aged 14. Dad has been sexually abusing me and my sister. My mum died when I was 4 years old. I feel bad when he abuses me. Girl aged 9. I am being physically and sexually abused at home by mum. It has been happening since I was 2 years old. I feel sad. Girl aged 12. I'm being sexually abused by my brother. My mum and dad don't believe me. My parents think it's my fault and I must have led him on or come on to him. I'm told to keep this a secret and I'm struggling to cope with this. Girl aged 12. Childline case notes on sexual abuse, November 2009. The Deputy Children's Commissioner, Sue Berlowitz, has been given the task of investigating the sexualization of our children, giving evidence to the House of Commons Home Affairs Committee. She said, there are parts of London where certainly children expect to have to perform oral sex on line-up of boys up to 2 hours at a time from the age of 11. It is quite common for girls to be lured via internet chat rooms to meet a friend, only to be met by a group of boys and gang raped in a park. Then another group of boys come, they take her to another part of the park and she's serially raped again. I wish I could say to you that such things are uncommon, but I'm afraid they are quite common. 12th of June 2012. Often it is assumed that children who have suffered abuse can recover from their trauma. To think this is naive. In the extreme, children who have been sexually abused suffer a range of long-term physical, emotional and psychological problems that persist even when the abuse has stopped. The effects must always continue through to adulthood and often through the person's life. Effects can include loss of confidence, dignity and self-respect, low self-esteem and poor self-worth, loss of hope for the future, adverse effects on both physical and mental health, the ability to trust others, even close, family and friends, the inability to relax and enjoy life, loss of innocence and childhood anxiety, guilt and fear, and difficulties in relating to the opposite sex. Sexual abuse may also lead to alcohol and drug abuse, obsessive behavior and strict routines, anxiety states, self-harming, depression and suicide. Breathing Space, Scotland, 21st of July 2011. The abuse of children is widespread in British society. The NSPCC has found that 1 in 4 18 to 24-year-olds has been sexually assaulted or severely neglected at home. 1 in 7 had been severely maltreated by a parent or guardian. 1 in 9 young adults had suffered severe physical abuse as a child at the hands of an adult, which included being hit, kicked, beaten up, or attacked with a weapon. 1 in 9 young adults reported they had been sexually assaulted as a child, either by an adult or another child or young person, and 3% have suffered sexual abuse involving physical contact at the hands of a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Almost 1 in 10 young adults had been severely neglected by the parents or guardians during childhood. NSPCC, Child Cruelty in the UK, 2011. Other studies suggest that as many as 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually assaulted at some point before they reach the age of 18. One NSPCC research participant, Pete, said, "Over the years, my mum kicked and beat me. She throttled me, threw me down the stairs, pushed me into a scalding hot bath. She once held my head under water, and another time she shoved a full bar of soap in my mouth. There are too many incidents to recount. For a long time, I accepted what was going on at home as normal, but no child should have to live in fear or on edge in our own home. That's the place they should feel safest." The US government 2008 suggests that as many as 80% of young adults who had been abused or neglected as children met the diagnostic criteria for at least one psychiatric disorder by the age of 21. These young adults exhibited many problems, including depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and suicide. Attempts, other psychological and emotional conditions associated with abuse and neglect include panic disorders, dissociative disorders, attention deficit disorder, depression, anger, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Abused and neglected children are 11 times more likely to be youth offenders, 2.7 times more likely to be arrested for violent and criminal behavior as an adult, and 3.1 times more likely to be arrested for one of many forms of violent crime. The cycle continues through the generations. Abusive parents have often experienced abuse during their own childhood. It is estimated approximately 1/3 of abused and neglected children will eventually victimize their own children. Long-term consequences of child abuse and neglect, US government, 2008. The next heading is sexting. SEXTING. Sexting is defined as the exchange of sexual messages or images and creating, sharing, and forwarding sexually suggestive, nude or nearly nude images through mobile phones and the internet. The NSPCC found that up to 40% of children have been involved in this. Coercion from their peers was found to be a factor in sexting. These threats are often linked to harassment, bullying, and even violence. NSPCC, a qualitative study of children, young people, and sexting, 2012. These images are in essence child pornography. A 16-year-old boy pleaded guilty to making indecent images of a child after using his mobile phone to film his friend having sex with a 14-year-old girl. He sent it to 5 of her classmates. A further 2 16-year-old schoolboys were arrested for making a porn video on a mobile phone of a 14-year-old girl and circulating it around their school in Perth. There are pressure groups that want to legalize sexual relationships between adults and children. One group, the North American Man Boys Lover Association, NAMBLA, has stated that its mission is to remove the age of consent and wants those jailed for sexual offences against children to be released. It is well recognised that trends established in the USA quickly follow in the UK. Systematic and planned abuse of children is also frequently part of extreme occult satanic practice. Despite the protests that ritual abuse does not happen, it is something that can no longer be denied. Children are being subjected to the most appalling assaults imaginable. In March 2011, in a Welsh court, Colin Batley was found guilty of 35 sex offences against children and young adults. The assaults were part of the satanic ritual abuse in a coven he led. His wife Elaine was also found guilty of sexual activity and indecency towards children. The victims were also initiated repeatedly sexually abused during black masses at the Batleys' home. He dressed up in hooded robes, chanting before an altar where he took part in sexual activity with women and children as young as 11 years. At least 2 of his victims gave birth as a result of the abuse they suffered. Some of the Batleys' neighbours involved in the coven paid him 25% of their income as a sign of devotion. The children were threatened with death and intimidated into keeping quiet. In 2001, the torso of an African boy aged 4 and 7 was found between 4 and 7 was found in the River Thames. The boy was named Adam by police. He is thought to have been the victim of a ritualistic killing after being brought to London from Nigeria. In the ongoing investigation, police found that 300 black African boys had disappeared from London between July and September 2001. Suggesting that the trafficking of children for a variety of reasons was a serious problem. A decade on, Adam has not been forgotten as authorities continue to investigate. 6 people were arrested and accused of sedating and sexually abusing 15 children, some as young as 3. The group included 3 women teachers. 2 of the women are grandmothers. The group are accused of filming them in sexual acts with satanic overtones at the teachers' homes and in a wood. The alleged abuse was discovered when some of the children began talking about their games to their parents. They drew pictures of a man in black who wore a hood and drank his own blood. They were threatened that if they told their parents about the games, they would be taken away from their mothers by devils. The Times, 26th of April 2007. Chapter 12. Exploited by pornographers. Recorded offences of abuse of children through prostitution and pornography in England and Wales in 2009 to 2010 numbered 135. Home Office, 2010. About 1 million indecent images of children were discovered at a house in East London. It is the largest seizure of the Metropolitan Police's paedophile unit has ever made from one individual. Sky News, 16th of July 2011. The Internet Watch Foundation took action regarding 16,739 instances of child sexual abuse content during 2010 on different web pages around the world. Internet Watch Foundation Annual Report 2010. Child pornography is not a victimless crime, as each indecent image of the child possessed or distributed represents a child that has been abused in order that the image can be made. With the advent of internet child pornography, it has become easier to distribute and share images. This multiplies the sickening horror of child abuse and torture by circulating the degradation of children to feed deviant behaviour and make them vast sums of money. UNICEF continues to campaign for children across the world who are being exploited by child pornographers. Their study found that digital technology not only allows traffickers to recruit children, but makes it easier to distribute pornography through email, chat rooms and e-groups. It is happening that children are being used as sex toys. Those children are being used as sex commodities. The younger they are, the more saleable they are. Combating child sexual exploitation in the Philippines, Pornography Trade, 2008. A huge increase in child pornography has taken place due to the internet. Many paedophiles have acknowledged that introduction to child pornography encourages their sexual fantasies, and it is an important factor in leading them to commit actual sexual offences against children. Organised crime also uses child pornography to generate vast amounts of revenue. Child abuse and the internet, safeguarding children and young people, Northeast Regional Interagency Procedures Project 2005. The internet allows larger numbers of individuals to network and get involved in collecting and processing images of child abuse. It is therefore highly likely that an increasing number of children are being abused specifically for this purpose. Every time an image is viewed and reviewed, the child is violated all over again. Child abuse, child pornography and the internet, National Children's Homes, January 2004. The link between child pornography and the actual physical abuse of children cannot be ignored. Daniel Tyler, 31 years old, was found with 300,000 images of child pornography. Police found his instruction video for paedophiles on how to abuse children and not leave a trace, and a covert camera disguised as a cigarette lighter capable of capturing and storing videos. He also admitted 20 counts of making indecent images, 4 of taking indecent images, and 2 counts of sexual assault on a baby. A baby. How horrendous is that? AOL News 4, August 2011. Final page is coming up now. I actually feel very sick and my eyes are full of water. I've got a pain in my chest. This has to be out there so you know who you're voting for. You better start asking questions of what they're going to do for children. Child pornography is available on home computers, mobile phones, and a dizzying array of other multimedia devices. Often this is unsolicited material. Children as young as 6 are surfing the internet and younger without parental supervision. 14% of 6 to 10-year-olds have encountered adult-based material on the net. Talk 2011. Children today live in a society where hardcore pornography is easy to procure. Our children are being seduced daily through a medium we allow into our homes, and often our children's bedrooms. Pornography negatively affects girls as well as boys and can considerably damage. So actually it didn't finish. I didn't check that. I'm going to get the book now. Maybe see what page that was. I can't leave it up in the air, can I? Because go back to, I hadn't finished typing and I hadn't checked before I began reading. That was chapter. Sorry about this, I'm just looking through the folder. Chapter 11, that was. Yeah, I think. No, chapter 12. Right. Chapter 12. Because I should have probably ticked in here, wouldn't I? Let's see what the last words were, because the last words aren't typed. Children live today. Right. Talk 2011. But I've ticked all of that. 46, 45. I know what it means. What I've ticked all these. Children today live in a society. I'm just trying to look. Yes, I'm going to read it from the book where I just finished from. It says here, considerably damage. Right, let me find that. Sorry about that. Considerably damage their ability to form healthy relationships. Focus on the family. 7th of August 2011. Children are vulnerable to predators who use pornography to groom their victims. As in cases of child abuse, the criminal justice system further devalues abused children by the derisory sentences it gives for the crime of child pornography. A married father was found with more than 1 million child pornography images on his computer. He was given a 1-year suspended sentence, escaping prison. This is despite some of the collection, including images of children under the age of 10. Leeds Crown Court, March 2012. With the arrival of the digital age of child pornography can haunt a child victim for the rest of their lives. The abuse and torture they suffered is digitally immortalized, prolonging the agony of their abuse. And I'm going to write on the page. All right. So that was, I do apologize. It is terrible, but people need to know the truth. It has to have legal laws, because if there were any, they're not powerful enough, are they? They're not putting these perpetrators in prison. So I personally think they need to go to prison for a long time. And there has to be faith in God helps us. But these people, they're satanic. Our children need protecting. I think, well, I know it might sound terrible, but little children, I believe they need to be taken away from evil parents, evil people who are putting them through that, the drug users. I don't think parents that take drugs should be allowed to keep their children. That seems like one way, but I'm not an expert. I found that horrendous. That's the worst thing I've ever had to read. I chose to read it because we're in election year and it's this next month. Don't vote for people who are not going to protect children. You need to talk to them. You need to find out. You need to research on them. Whoever's putting themselves up in your area, do research on them. Use the internet. Find out what you can. Go and talk to them. They must be having a meeting somewhere. We even have a meeting in a church here. The candidates come there and face us, but you don't get much chance to talk to them. But you need to find out, research them, who they are and what they stand for. I won't be voting Conservative, I won't be voting Labour, but I will be voting for somebody. I will vote. I always have. I'm very stressed from reading that. I will be using this next time. There won't be any mistakes in that. I don't know how I read that. I can't read this as well as I did that, but I can if I put my glasses on, because it's a good size font. So I will try and do it as quick as possible, because it's obviously bigger in that because the font is very big. So thank you for listening, if you did listen, and please pray for the children and pray that we'll have protection laws and action taken for the children of the world, America, everywhere, we need to pray for all children. It's very distressing, isn't it? Poor little things, how they have to go through such stuff now and put themselves through stuff because they don't know any better. They've got no guidance. We can't blame the children. We have to blame ourselves for what we allowed to happen. We ignored it. God bless you all. Thank you for listening. I'll try and upload that now, but I'm not going to type up much content, I'm afraid. Not at all. But I have to put warnings, not suitable for children. Not suitable at all. Not suitable for us either, but we need to know the facts and the truth. Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.